Hi, my name is Warren Pettit, and welcome to Studio Stories. I'm the director of the Contemporary Music Center here in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's a program for college-age musicians to help them segue into the professional music industry or the broader entertainment industry at large. CMC Nashville came as a result of my own journey wanting to get into the professional music industry, and I realized that at the age of 19-20, I really didn't know what was going on, not just in terms of connections, but also how the music worked, how it was recorded, how it was produced, how it was written. So this program here in Nashville is designed and built around the program I wish I'd had when I was 19 or 20 years old. So we exclusively serve college-age musicians, helping them get their first professional entry-level position in the industry. Well, early on, my interests were in music, and that was largely what touring was. Touring now has morphed into a circus. You need to bring everything, and that would include video, lighting, soft goods, staging, acrobatics, and having an understanding across a broad range of disciplines is really what you need in order to stay employed. Our alumni tell us that they need to know less about one area specifically and have a broader understanding across multiple disciplines in order to keep multiple streams of revenue coming. So the irony of education, especially in higher education, which would be undergraduate work, is that universities and colleges tend to move rather slowly. There's a lot of ballast in the curriculum, and that gives it a very sustained and traditional approach to tether to the things that are important. But in an industry, in the entertainment industry, things are changing so quickly that you have to be able to adapt and pivot in terms of the curriculum without jettisoning those things that are really important. So those decisions to change the curriculum and how we do things almost exclusively come from our alumni as they go out into the field and report back what is changing, what do they need to know. It's interesting, in touring, there are maybe, I'll just give you an example of 4 positions. There would be front of house audio, there would be lighting, there would be camera operation, and then somebody who sends content to a video wall. Now, this is a very generalized description here, but it takes decades really to become an excellent front of house engineer. And it takes quite a bit of time to become a lighting designer and director. A camera operator, sure, but I can really get a camera operator up to speed on a camera, pulling focus, iris, and so on, maybe in a couple of weeks. And then just sourcing content to a video wall, if you know Resolume and you spend a couple of weeks doing that, fine. Well, here is, if that's expertise from top to bottom, and again, I'm generalizing, here's the pay. And that's really ironic in our industry, that in some ways, the music, the song is the raw material of the music industry, always has been. Yet the person responsible for making that sound well in the building is likely the most talented, probably the veteran, and making the least amount of money. If you've dedicated your life and career to sound reinforcement audio, and we'll talk about that just specifically for a moment, it is a high art form. I've often said, I tell young bands, if there's 4 members in the band, there's always a 5th member. And that is the gal or the guy who's mixing. And if you don't believe that's true, go to a show where the mix is terrible. You can have a band killing it, but if what comes through the PA is distorted or unbalanced, that person has effectively ruined that performance. So it is going to be a high art form. It's going to require a lot of dedication and a lot of experience and mileage to make that happen. And the people that do that work at the highest levels are compensated well. It's just ironic that I heard of a band just last year that was going out and they were touring. And as you know, there's 12 bunks on a bus. And they literally had to make the decision between taking out a front of house person or their social media content person. And I found out they left the front of house guy at home. The tour manager doubled as front of house, and they took out social media, knowing how important it was to feed that machine. If I were to speak broadly to education today, I remember an interview with John Mayer recently when he said that if he had been going to Berkeley and when he had been really shedding on his instrument, practicing, if it had happened during social media, he wouldn't be as good a guitar player as he is today. And I thought, yeah, that's true. I did a census last year with the students in the class, and we've got this big video wall, and I asked each one of them, with their permission, to put their phone up on the wall and then go to the usage control center, just to see how many hours a day they were on their phone. Now this is undergraduate students. This is juniors and seniors, 20, 21-year-olds. And the average time was 10 to 11 hours a day on their phone. It's just really hard to imagine where you find 3 hours to practice your guitar or get way deep into acoustics and audio phenomena if you're spending 10 hours a day on your phone. The question is, how does an individual, especially a young person, a student, who's on the brink of beginning a career, actually make that segue well? I've been teaching for quite some time, and I've really come to this conclusion that those folks that want it really want it. They're almost undeterred. They've got the drive, the grit to just dog it down until it happens. I've discovered in the past that if we direct the wind into their sails too much, it sometimes backfires. Now, true, there might be a student with tremendous talent that we want to get in front of somebody, but I am even cautious in that regard, because you can meet talented people all the time, but there has to be perseverance and grit. And as an educator, and I see students coming from all over the country to the program here, I'm not sure what's happening in the culture, but the whole idea of grit, sacrifice, some pain, deferring reward, that is not front and center part of the vocabulary of young students now. I meet with parents at the beginning of every semester, and they often bring their son, daughter here to Nashville to the program, in part because they just want to see Nashville. And the question often is, will my son, daughter get a job? What's the potential for that? And I said, getting a job, an entry-level position in the entertainment industry is not as hard as you think it is. And there's 3 criteria. You got to show up on time. Don't steal. It means be a person of integrity. And take the initiative. Look around and see what job needs to be done before you get told to do it. Or, even more smartly, what could I do to help benefit this company or make them money that they haven't even thought of? Skills can be taught. Character, initiative, drive, work ethic, it's pretty hard. And I'll tell you, if you show up with that, the world is your oyster. What I see as bringing joy to alumni, and even to myself personally, being in education, is being a lifelong learner, always curious about things. And if you're in the entertainment industry, any aspect of it, it changes so quickly. And to say it changes quickly today is really an understatement. It's every 6 months, it seems something new has come along. If you're curious about it and you're interested in learning about it, well, one, there's joy in that, but it will also keep you current. It will also keep you marketable. It'll keep you employable. And those things are joyful too. I'm not sure that that's entirely something that everybody has, but it can be developed. I mean, I think it's one of my profiles, one of those personality profile things that I was a learner. But I always have been curious, and I always encourage students to be as curious as they can. Well, as an educator, my enjoyment, my personal joy comes from seeing a student have an aha moment. And one of the things I'm just gifted with is the ability to make complex ideas simple. So I can take something that might have eluded a student previously, like compression of audio, and I have an analogy of a little guy with a rubber hammer inside the console. And if the signal comes in and it's just getting too loud, you say to the guy with the rubber hammer, oh, you need to bang that down a little bit. And if it gets really loud, you just bang that down really hard. And you need a whole bunch of those little guys with rubber hammers, like 24 or 48 of them. And you could have done that on the console. You could have taken your hand and moved the fader, but you can't do it as quickly as the guy with the little rubber hammer. And you're not an octopus, and you can't do it on all 48 channels. And that gives a student an idea of what compression is. It's essentially to have a certain level of audio come in and just make sure it doesn't go too loudly. And then I'll have students kind of figure that out, and then we'll move to what it means to have an attack time, and then the all-important gain increase after that to get up across the noise floor and reduce the dynamic range. And speaking in terms of metaphors and analogies, and my own personal joy in just talking about it, students figure that out. And when they do figure it out, it puts a big smile on my face. I'm very hopeful about the industry, strangely enough. When I think about the last 2 decades here in Nashville, Tennessee, every major recording studio in Nashville has closed. 16th Avenue Sound, Lion Share, so on. But there's more recording getting done in Nashville than ever before. And that's because you don't need to be in a big studio. Every second or third house in this town has a home studio. If you have a laptop, a good mic pre, set of monitors, I can make you $1 million record. So things changed, and it leveled the field, and now there's tremendous opportunity for anybody who brings the grit and the desire to do it. It's the best time, really, to be in this field. And now post-COVID, with a lot of folks who had attritioned out, there's plenty of opportunity. I can't get enough students out the door to fill positions in town. So I hope you enjoyed listening to a little bit of my story and what we do here at the Contemporary Music Center, Nashville, Tennessee. And for Studio Stories, have a great day.